Good morning. The word for you today. Today is Thursday, November 14th. Our scripture passage comes out of the 56th chapter of the book of Psalms. Starting in verse 3, it says, "When I am afraid, I put my trust in you. In God, whose word I praise. In God I trust and am not afraid. What can mere mortals do to me?" I don't know if you've gathered this from any of our sessions together. I'm a very anxious person. Doesn't really matter what it's for. If it's dealing with a grade, a meeting, a friend, doesn't really matter what the situation is, who's involved. I'm probably going to be anxious about it and a little bit afraid of it. And it's not because I think something bad's going to happen. It's just kind of how I am. It's really annoying, but it's the way it is. But I remember growing up. I remember some of my first days of school. I remember the first day of school. I would be so excited for a new teacher and a new school year. But also I was really scared because I didn't know a lot of kids in the class. Or maybe I was scared because I was going to a different school. I was going to the middle school instead of the elementary school. And so it was a new place with new people, and that was scary. I remember when I was 15, about to turn 16, and I was so excited to be driving. But also, that's a lot of responsibility, and I was kind of terrified. I look at my senior year of high school or my senior year of college, and those feelings of I'm about to move on to this next portion of my life, that I'm about to go past this major defining moment. And I don't know what the other side looks like. And I can still think of so many more. There are so many times that I am afraid. And I have a feeling that every single one of you can relate to that. Maybe not that example that I gave, but I guarantee you every single person on this earth has experienced fear in some way, shape, or form. Minus a few extreme cases. Most people tend to have fear in some level. And that can be a good thing. Fear, a healthy fear, is what keeps us from doing something so incredibly stupidly dangerous that it's going to get us hurt. Fear can cause us to be safer whenever it comes to being around dangerous materials. But fear can also make us lash out at people. It can make us hateful or vindictive because we don't want to risk getting hurt, and so we're so afraid of getting hurt that we hurt somebody else. Fear is a very weird thing. And it's no secret that the Bible spends a lot of time talking about fear. And for David, fear was a very real thing. When David wrote this psalm, this is when the Philistines had seized him in Gath. David is not having a great time right now. And so he writes this psalm to God. I imagine it's a lament and a prayer. It's a affirmation that, God, I know you're good, and I know you do all these things. But also, I think it's also kind of a, dear God, please help me. I'm scared. And so, what do we do with that? I think sometimes as Christians we say, well, fear is wrong. We shouldn't be afraid because we have Jesus. And I don't think that's quite right. Jesus showed trepidation. He showed a little bit of apprehension about going to the cross. He asked God if there was anything in his will that would allow him to not go, if God would do that. Now, Jesus also said, if it is your will, though, I will do whatever you call me to. We see Moses was afraid of going to Pharaoh because he had a speech impediment. We see fear throughout the Bible. And the people aren't bad people because they had a natural reaction. What's important every single time is that the people who were considered right actors, just actors, were the people who said, I am afraid, God, but I trust you. So what does that mean for us? I'm not asking you to be stoic in every single way, shape, and form. The world is a really scary place. I mean, just in this last month, there's been a lot of uncertainty about our future. And that uncertainty causes some fear and some anxiety. But when we have this fear, when we have anxieties in our life, do we sit in it and hold on to it? Do we treat it like a life raft where we can't let go? Or do we treat it like a caution sign? Be careful. There's something possibly dangerous here. But it's just a warning. It's not something that you have to hold on to. Fear is natural. It's something that we all experience. Fear can be a good thing. But when fear overtakes our lives, when it informs every decision that we're making, that's when it's a problem. And so I would invite you to give that to God. It's not easy. It's a lot easier said than done. But God is a God who is present in the good times. God is also a God who is present in the times when the world seems unfair and big and terrifying. And trust that God is big enough to hear your fears and to walk with you through that. Have a nice day.